What's up, everybody? This is Nick.
And this is Eric.
And Eric, today I am excited. I am excited to talk about my childhood. We are talking about 80s cartoons.
Excited.
A time in history full of stereotypes in cartoons. That's one thing we get to look forward to. And don't worry, people. This is going to be an ongoing series. This is going to be first of very many. Because the 80s is full of cartoons. And today we're going to just pick a few of them and talk about them. These are not necessarily the most popular ones. Some of them are ones that are real obscure. But Eric, I gotta tell you, I'm excited. What about you, my friend?
I'm pretty excited.
All right, well, let's get started. I love that level of excitement. I love that what you bring.
Thanks.
That was great. Way to go.
It's my energy.
I know. You know what I'm going to give you? The 1980s salute that everybody seems to do in cartoons. Way to go there, bud. That is one thing that we've noticed. We have researched, and we have watched many intros. We have read a lot of Wikipedia pages. Who knows if those are right, but you know what? We are going...
That's true.
We are going for factual Wikipedia pages. And yeah. Eric, I can tell you one thing that I have noticed in all of my research. This is the universal sign of doing okay, buddy.
Yeah, those thumbs up. They like those thumbs up.
They did. Everybody seemed to turn to the camera and go in their intros. A lot of fourth wall breaking in the intros.
I think we're missing that nowadays.
I think we are. I'll tell you this. I know one thing that we are missing in our cartoons these days. Not that I watch too many cartoons these days. You have kids.
Yeah.
You probably watch a lot more. But the intros really set up the story. And a lot of those stories for kids shows seem to be pretty deep.
They were pretty deep. Today's, not so much. Overall, yeah, most intros were... They told you plot, where they came from, why they are the way they are, who the enemy is, who the friends are. You got to know all that before you saw a single episode. You knew the bad guys' powers, you knew the good guys' powers. Yep.
I mean, they threw everything in there at the beginning, and they were showing you what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, you're spoon-fed.
Now there was always like a voiceover. There would be a voiceover kind of explaining what was going on, and then it would go into some sweet 1980s synthesizer music.
Or power ballads. Exactly.
And it was beautiful. And we're missing that today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what... Can you think of a cartoon today that has a great intro?
No. I think it's...
Rick and Morty has a great intro, but it's not really a kid's cartoon.
It's not a kid's cartoon. But here's what I think... why that is, because we talked about this on a earlier podcast.
Yeah.
Much like songs are getting into the lyrics faster. I think the attention span is the same thing here. Is like we don't have time for an intro. There's not really an intro these days.
There's not. It's usually very short. Adventure Time's not that long.
No.
Yeah, friends.
It goes by really fast.
It sets up a little bit. Adventure Time is one of the greatest cartoons right now, in my opinion.
Right.
It's well designed and it's well executed. Bravest Warriors made by the same people.
But that's not really a kid's cartoon necessarily. That's not even on a network. It's a YouTube.
I count it.
I mean, it would still be counted. But I mean, there is a lot of things that are different about the 1980s setup. I mean, like you said, longer intro.
Long intros. I mean, like they were a good 30 seconds to 45 second intros. Well, yes. Maybe a minute.
Well, but I mean, they set up the plot. Then you got the shots of people going like this, or
high-fiving or jumping,
or showing the cool vehicles that they're going to be driving.
Yeah,
or all of these different things.
Well, every cartoon in the 80s was designed to sell toys.
Okay, that is true.
That's what cartoons were designed for. They were a mechanism to get people to the stores to buy toys. Because we were watching these intros and you were like, I had that toy and I had that toy and I had that toy. And I was like, I had dirt. I had a piece of toy that looked kind of like that. It might have been where it came from. Oh yeah, I saw a friend have that toy once. That's how I was. But you're like, oh, I had all those. But, Nick, I remember cleaning out your room years ago, and
there were a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Most of mine was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wow, it was impressive amount.
It was. Unfortunately, I got rid of all of those instead of actually trying to sell them because now they're worth
You had
some money.
Nearly everything.
I did.
You had nearly every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
The Technodrome. One day we will do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode of this.
It deserves its own episode.
It does. Because the show went on 10 years. You might not realize. Plus, there's been other iterations.
Yeah, now there's movies, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the IP itself has been around for a long time. But, yeah, I mean, I had everything.
You did.
Especially in the early... The other thing I'm upset about, and we'll have to talk about this too, I had the Archie series of comic books. Oh. The animated series where a lot of the characters that you know from the series made their first appearance. Leatherhead made his first appearance in this, which now he's become a fan favorite, but he made his first appearance in this comic book series.
Well, let's digress. Let's not jump on that too far.
Yeah, we don't want to go too much down that rabbit trail.
Let's focus on our first. Now, this is technically a 90s cartoon. It was a 91, and it's kind of disingenuous to say we're talking about only 80s. Some of these cross from 80s to 90s, but we pulled this one out just because it was so unique.
Let's talk about this really quickly. The early 90s, there was a lot of carryover.
Very much so.
From the 80s.
A lot of stylistic drawing, producing, animating, very similar in the very early 90s.
As we've already done this one, but the Disney Afternoon was very common, or I mean it wasn't common. It was one that was started in the 80s with DuckTales. Yeah. And that carried over for well into the 90s.
Well, very far into mid, almost late 90s.
And we even talked about it. There was the happy time, the golden times,
the golden time, yes.
And then there was the dark period.
There was
that we don't like to talk about.
Yeah, it didn't end up well.
But the first one we are talking about is a little gem called Pro Stars.
Pro Stars ran in 91 from September 14th to December 7th.
And it had some very popular athletes at the time.
You may have heard of these guys.
Well, one of them was not as big.
Who? Which one do you think was not as big?
Wayne Gretzky.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
I remember Wayne. I actually picked a number. One of my jersey numbers was because of Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky was also very popular, but we had this series that came out that had Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and Bo Nose Cartoons Jackson.
Bo Nose.
I had a Bo Nose poster.
I remember that poster. Is that the one with he has the shoulder pads with the baseball bat?
Oh, he had a bunch of those. No, this is the one where he's actually swinging a baseball bat.
Is he swinging some shoulder pads with the baseball bat on his shoulders?
He doesn't have the shoulder pads on. This is just him in his jersey swinging a baseball bat.
Oh, he had clothes on. Nice. Yes. Oh, no, actually, I know that one. I know that poster. He's like ripped in that one. Yeah. He's huge.
No, I mean, he's in the mid-swing. I mean, this is a live action. Somebody took a picture of him when he was swinging the bat, swinging the lumber, if you will. But we have this series. Now, I watched this series.
I watched the series, too. And that's crazy that we remember it since it was on for really only 2 months.
Well, yes.
It was on for 2 months.
It's very
It only had 13 episodes. But I remember it. Now, I don't remember when it aired. I want to say it was a Saturday morning cartoon. Being that it's only 13 episodes over the 2 months, that sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Well, it says September 14th, 1991. You'd have to get in your little calendar down there and find out what day that exactly was. But let's talk very briefly.
A Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday?
I wouldn't expect that.
I think it was a Tuesday.
Well, I mean, that's what the
September 14th. I'm sorry. Did I say 17?
No, I think I typed it in wrong. 10 keyed it wrong.
That was a Saturday.
So it was a Saturday morning cartoon. Yes. Usually you can tell because if it was a weekday cartoon, it ran for 2 months. That's 45 episodes.
So what do you think the plot, if you were to hear Pro Stars and you heard it was about Michael Jordan, almost said Michael Jackson, Bo Jackson, and Wayne Gretzky, what do you think the plot of this show would be?
Oh, let me think. It's a little unfair since I know what the show's about because we've been doing a little bit of, if you call what we watching intros and kind of clips from the shows just to remember them.
Right.
So I wish I wouldn't have watched those and you asked me this. I would think they were, obviously I think they're a team because they're all athletes. And they would have superpowers that were based on their athletic abilities. Probably what I'd go with.
All right.
But that's not what it was, exactly.
No, it was not. It was not. A lot of what they did had to do with jets.
Uh-huh.
Each one of them had rocket boots on their jets. Or the rockets on their boots, on their jets. Rocket shoes. Acme Rocky shoes. Rocket shoes, not Rocky shoes. I can talk sometimes.
Me talk good.
Me no talk good. But each one was based off their individual abilities. You had Michael Jordan, who would jump around with his tongue out. Bo Jackson, he would often hit stuff with wood.
Pull the tree out of the ground, I think.
He would. And then Wayne Gretzky would actually hit stuff with a stick and send it flying to hit the bad guy.
Yeah, and his shoes allowed him more to skate. It looked like he was skating on ice.
Yes. Now, here's the best part. They were stopping crime, helping children,
saving people,
and saving the environment.
Yeah, I read some synopsis of kind of how the villains were designed. Pretty stock villains. Captain Planet-like villains.
Yes.
Strip mining, destroying deforestation. So, and then the wacky mad scientist characters.
But I absolutely love this idea that this is like, you know who we need to save the environment? Michael Jordan.
Did they all have the same agent?
I don't know.
I don't know that. It'd be really kind of tedious to find out if they at this time had the same agent or PR firm. And that's how this came about.
Now,
they were all high profile.
Yeah, oh yeah, they were. But let me just hit on something real quickly here.
Huh.
They worked for basically an organization. They all had somebody that they worked for. But there was a mom character.
Ooh, a mom character.
A quasi-Yiddish and Jewish mother stereotype. She is the Q to the Pro Stars James Bond.
Oh.
She constantly invents wacky gadgets loosely based on sports equipment for the heroes to use.
She's a scientist.
The Pro Stars spend all their free time in Mom's gym, possibly live there as well. It serves as the Pro Stars headquarters. So this is what they did. They would live with this. They lived with their mother. These super rich athletes, they all lived with their mother. And which I love, once again, the stereotype thing just plays out. But if you watch the intro, one thing you notice, Jordan jumps around with his tongue hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, Bo Jackson talks in your stereotypical way, which, by the way, none of them voice their own character.
That's great.
They couldn't be bothered, but however, they did do, and this is something I loved about 80s cartoons, they did do a live action sequence explaining to kids the moral of today's episode.
Of course, and that trend continues on through multiple, and we're already running a little long. Let's move past that and kind of, well, what's your general take on Pro Stars as a cartoon?
I'll be honest, even as a kid, I thought it was terrible.
Me too. It was not good.
It wasn't. I mean, it was not a good show.
Probably on paper it looked great, but it was not executed well.
Well, but I mean, what are you going to do? You had these guys who were known for their athletics. I mean, how are you going to make that into which this, as we will see moving forward here, and yes, we're going a little bit long. We've been talking about this particular show for 10 minutes now.
Yes.
But how are you going to take these guys and go, hey, you know what? This week they need to save the environment. And honestly, have guys that drive probably some of the most polluting cars in real life.
Yeah.
Go and save the environment.
I don't know.
I mean, what do you hope to do? And plus, you have these live action sequences, and from what I'm reading here, none of them were done in real time. None of them were done face to face.
Well, that's common.
It is.
Even today. I mean, today, voice acting, they're all over the place.
But I'm sure it came off a little disjointed. A little, hey, here's what today's moral lesson is. Hey, kids, don't throw stuff on the ground. When Bo Jackson is, hitting people over the head for littering with a piece of wood, he's like, don't litter. And he hits them. And that really happened in an episode.
Are you serious?
He beats them constantly.
That's a lie.
That is a lie.
I was looking at the theme song. It's based off of We Will Rock You.
By Queen, yes.
By Queen. That's a lot of money to drop on a series that only has 13 episodes.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that they had to. Did they actually steal the song, like the background song?
I guess not. I guess it's just, it says homage to. Man, you gotta be careful of that stuff. I don't know how copyright law is back then, in the early 90s, late 80s. But sometimes, if you steal enough of the bass, the underlying chorus and all, that's what they did. They must have changed it enough so they didn't have to pay for it, though.
It says in later episodes, the song was slowed down and the chorus was reduced to pro stars, pro stars. The lyrics often reference Bo Knows ad campaign, including the line, Bo knows everything. So I'm guessing because the people that did Bo Knows...
Yeah, that's a slogan. That wasn't his slogan, was it? Who owned that?
That was Nike.
Nike, so...
That was I'm guessing Nike had a lot to do with this show.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there.
I didn't know this. I did not know this, but this show was originally supposed to air on ESPN.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So this is a show that was specifically made to air on ESPN originally.
So
geared towards that.
We talk about, cartoons are made to sell toys. This cartoon's not made to sell a toy. It's made to sell shoes. Because all their shoes were special.
Yeah. But I mean, you had the Bo Jackson. I mean, there was more than just the shoes. There were jerseys. There were...
Yeah, definitely. But it was a clothing line then.
Yes.
That's could be why it sucked.
I mean, like you said, a lot of what 80s cartoons was, and I mean, even cartoons today, I think back to Young Justice, it didn't get a third season, supposedly, because it didn't sell enough toys. A lot of these shows...
Aren't they making third season now?
Well, they are now.
Yeah.
But it was originally canceled, and due to fan outrage, it's getting a third season now. It's been a couple years.
Do they not make money on making good TV content?
They want to make more money on...
Man, because Young Justice is a very good
we'll talk about
animated
that
series.
Once season 3 finally comes out, we'll do something about Young Justice.
Young Justice is good.
But Pro Stars, yes, I was not impressed.
Yeah,
I don't think it was good. I don't know that I watched more than a couple episodes. Which also brings me to the next show that we are going to talk about. Another show that I don't think I watched more than a couple episodes of. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. Did you watch this show ever?
I don't think so. It really sounds like something my brother would watch. So it's a Saturday cartoon, 2 seasons, 16 episodes. 2 seasons, 26 episodes. That tells you it's a Saturday cartoon.
Yes.
So, you know what?
Once again, we have another show, by the way. Another show done by our friends at Deke Entertainment.
Oh, this is Deke show also?
This is a Deke Entertainment show.
ProStars is Deke. This is Deke.
Well, was ProStars Deke?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's produced by Deke.
Oh, man. See? Deke's got their hands in everything.
They were the production house to go to.
Yes. Well, they were... were they really? I mean, they
were the cheapest production house to go to.
We'll do a show about them one day too.
Yeah, we'll do a show of like all the knockoff Deke shows.
The sluts of the 80s, the Deke Entertainment.
This is a Deke series? I don't see that anywhere.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, first line right there on your Wikipedia page under history. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling was in and produced by Deke Entertainment.
Oh, I was looking at too high then.
But anyway, so this show, Eric, I remember watching this show. It began with Hulk Hogan talking to the announcer guy with the mustache. I don't ever remember his name.
Gonna get burned for not knowing who that guy is. I wasn't a huge wrestling fan. I'm not a huge
wrestling fan either.
But I remember him. I don't remember his name.
Which makes us probably hated by quite a few people because of this. Now, one thing that we can talk about, however, it's Mean Gene Okerlund. Mean Gene Okerlund.
All right.
I believe.
I have to look this up. Yep, that's him.
Okay. Mean Gene Okerlund. Anyway, it would be...
He's still alive.
Yes.
Wow. I remember when him and Hulk teamed up. Hulk Hogan. They teamed up, tag teamed.
I remember when they teamed up before the episode to introduce the idea of what was about to come. He would talk to him and they would...
Oh, he'd interview him.
And he'd be like, yeah, we're going, yes, Gene, we're going to paint and do all this stuff. And Roddy Piper's going to challenge us. I don't know why he went all hick there at the end. Sorry, I do not do well with Hulk Hogan. Now Macho Man Randy Savage, I can do a pretty mean Macho Man.
Was he in that?
I don't. But I think he showed up in a couple episodes.
Okay.
But here's what we had. We had every episode. We had him and his friends, Hulk Hogan and his buddies, would always hang out, and then Roddy Piper would come up with his little crew of people that were always. By the way, let me just point this out: the Roddy Piper gang, the people that were supposedly the evil ones.
Yeah, what about them?
Consisted of the other ethnicities.
Typical 80s.
The bad guys consisted of people such as the Iron Sheik, who typically would often refer to things as crappy American things.
He was the heel.
Yeah, he was.
So it's all the heels. I'm trying to find out.
And let me also point out here very quickly.
Yeah, please.
You had some big names voicing some characters. Hulk Hogan voiced by Brad Garrett, who would be on Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
And even more importantly, someone that is close to our hearts.
Who's that?
He passed away a few years ago. Uncle Phil.
James Avery.
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah. Man, he voiced a lot of things.
He did. He shows up quite a bit in our research that he was the voice of quite a few characters. But this show captured stereotypes like none other. Which I mean,
that's pretty common of the
80s
of the wrestling genre.
Well, that's true.
Especially the 80s wrestling genre.
That's true.
If you weren't American, you were a heel.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was common for, of course, they were all Americans most of the time, just playing their ethnicity as a character.
Right. Right. And making, I'm sure, a pretty good living doing it.
Yeah. I don't know how many made a great living. I mean, early wrestling there was not a lot of money in it, I don't believe, outside of the really big names.
So let me give you just the list of the good guys.
Okay.
You had Junkyard Dog, Captain Lou Albano, Lou Albano comes back, my friend. He will be in a later episode.
Oh, will he?
Because we are going to talk about a little show called the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and Lou Albano played Mario.
Oh, okay.
In the live action bits.
Oh.
So we had Captain Lou Albano, Andre the Giant was good, Wendy Richter, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Hillbilly Jim, Tito Santana. These were all the good guys. Roddy Piper was the leader of the Hills, or the bad guys, consisting of Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, the Fabulous Moolah, Big John Studd, and Mr. Fuji, Bobby the Brain, Heenan, and Mean Gene Okerlund.
Okay, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Now, here's what I remember about this show. I remember specifically there was an episode where Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper are driving next to each other, and they're listening to their radios.
Yeah,
they're in these big trucks with, of course, I think Roddy Piper's had a convertible truck to it.
A convertible truck.
Yeah, I mean it had
nice.
no I mean, it was classy. But they're driving down the road, and they can both hear each other's music, and they're both yelling at each other to turn it down. Well, all of a sudden, Roddy Piper shoots this thing across, and it lands on Hulk Hogan's antenna.
Okay.
And this is an actual storyline from this. It lands on the antenna, and it changes the music to Irish music. and Hulk's like, no, he's like, why'd you do this? And then I don't know why.
Where are these voices coming?
I don't know why.
Why'd you do this?
I don't know why he went Japanese there for a second. I apologize.
I get more entertainment out of listening to you,
try to explain and things
and voice people.
Buddy, I'm telling you, I'm a man of a million voices that are all incorrect.
All right,
all a million incorrect voices out there.
Okay. So he couldn't change the station.
But then after he shot this thing, he couldn't change the station back.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden he shoots something over to Roddy Piper's antenna, and it changes Roddy Piper's antenna or radio to whatever music Hulk was listening to originally. And so they have this fight still going down the road, telling each other to turn down their music. And so this was
shenanigans.
This was great writing. This is what you expect from Deke.
Classic Deke.
Classic writing. And this is what we got from Hulk Hogan in his rock and wrestling. My friend, it was a classic show. You had pro stars, you had Hulk Hogan, rock and wrestling. I'm interested in knowing, was this on one right after another? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, hold on. What year was this?
This show...
No, it's a Saturday.
This show I didn't realize. This show did have 2 seasons.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, exactly.
Pro Stars did not survive past 1 season.
But this did. It had a big backer. The backing of it came from... Well, of course, Pro Stars did too. But the backing for this, according to our researches, was the WWF itself.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, the World Wildlife Federation backed this show.
I don't think that's true.
What?
They changed the name eventually.
Oh!
It was the World Wrestling Federation, and then...
I thought it was World Wild...
They kind of had a dispute with them. So they had to change the name to the Cookie Jar Entertainment.
Cookie Jar Entertainment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. WWE. Cookie Jar Entertainment is now who owns all of the Deke properties. This, along with Pro Stars, along with Tattooed Teenage Fighting Aliens from Outer Space.
Oh, really?
Are from from Beverly Hills are all owned by Cookie Jar Entertainment.
Well, and all their distributors DHX.
And all the distributors are DHX.
Yeah.
But did you ever see this show?
No, I did. It looks like something I probably walked by it while my brother was watching it. He was the guy who was all about wrestling. I was never into wrestling. I had some cousins that were super into it, and I never got into it.
I never watched this show. I watched a couple episodes of this show.
Okay.
It was not one that I followed regularly. I gave it, even as a kid, I thought to myself, Nick.
Okay. How'd you speak to yourself as a child?
You're a great kid, Nick. You're really going places. One day you'll affect millions.
Yeah.
Give this show a shot. Let's see what it's all about.
So what did Child Nick, what is your opinion of Child Nick's decision now?
He made the right decision.
Right call.
I've only given it a couple episodes before to get it right.
He gave it a chance.
He gave it its chance. This show disappointed me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were going to say.
You didn't know what I was going to say?
This show
caused
me to kill my brother.
Yes. It caused me to come off the top rope with an elbow onto my brother.
Yeah. Okay.
This show disappointed me, much like Hulk Hogan's appearance in Rocky 3 disappointed me.
Oh, we don't want to get into the Rockies.
Thunder Lips.
Donkey Lips.
Well, Donkey Lips was that, but no, Thunder Lips is what Hulk Hogan played in Rocky 3.
Oh, really? I haven't watched Rocky 3 in a long time.
It's quite forgettable. Don't go back to that one. It's probably the weakest of all of them.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So we've made it through 2 shows.
Do you want to hit the other 3 that we had slated?
Well,
we could get. There's only one that I think we'd probably get we could kind of speaking of Rocky, we could go with.
We'll come back to the last 2. Let's quickly talk about one that needs to be mentioned.
Well, you just talked about Rocky. I thought you want to talk about that one.
No. Okay. I want to talk about the trifecta. If we do not talk about this one,
I'm surprised we didn't lead out with it. Of course, it would have taken most of the.
It would have. Yeah, it would have.
It would have dominated.
If we did not bring it up here at the end, then we wouldn't be able to do it. This of course is talking about the much acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
Should have gotten a daytime Emmy for writing and for just overall coolness. And that is Chuck Norris's Karate Commandos.
Karate Commandos.
It lasted. Are you ready for this?
Hold on. I'm going to just throw something out there. Over 500 episodes.
You're a little shy. Take that number you said.
Okay.
Take off the over part. Delete about 495 episodes.
That leaves us with 5.
5. Now here's the thing. Here's my theory.
Okay.
This show blew up so many televisions.
Oh.
When Chuck Norris made his appearance, or when his voice came out of the speaker, it blew up so many audio boxes on the televisions that the company had to bring the show to an end. Otherwise, they'd have to pay for all these broken televisions.
Oh, okay, I get you. That makes complete sense.
It does.
I always feel like there's this undertone of people trying to silence Chuck Norris out of fear.
Okay.
And that's what this sounds like.
It is. This was done by Ruby Spears Productions.
Yeah, we were talking about them just earlier today.
We were. This show was great. It always began with a live action sequence of Chuck Norris talking to us, telling us, well, he'd always be like punching a bag.
Yeah.
Or doing some kicks.
He's trying to inspire us.
He was.
Him sitting in a chair is inspiring, but he goes above and beyond.
He would talk about what is going on in the episode.
Yeah.
He would talk about what he learned. It was It was magical. He would kick drugs out of America.
Patriot.
And we were left with 5 episodes. Deadly Dolphin, Target Chuck Norris, Terror Train, Menace from Space, and The Island of the Walking Dead.
Wow.
I know.
I feel like if we could do a show dedicated to each one of those episodes how each episode affected our culture today.
You know what? I'm just saying we may in the future do a Vuction video
of the 5
episodes.
Wow. Well, we'll have to be real careful. I don't know if I can afford a new monitor.
Eric, we'll get through it somehow.
We'll put some contrast on it or something. I don't need it ripping through my head.
Now, here's what I don't understand, however. Chuck Norris, unlike these other shows, he voiced himself on this show.
Of course. Who's going to voice Chuck Norris?
Yeah, who's going to capture it better than himself?
Exactly.
Hulk Hogan didn't do himself. They got Brad Garrett.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't do himself.
Of course not.
He's too busy playing basketball.
Disrespectful.
But Chuck Norris, he takes the time out of his busy schedule to voice this. Now, we can't mention this show without talking about the bad guys.
I'm sure they're all dead.
Well, they only lasted. That's why the show ended also.
Ran out of villains.
Ran out of villains.
Like every episode, they're like, we need to come up with a new villain. No matter how great we make them, they're gonna get destroyed.
I don't even remember writing the part where the villain died, but he keeps somehow dying.
It's like we wrote it so Chuck Norris would lose, but they can't. It's impossible to animate that.
Like for some reason, he not only that he keeps breaking their necks at the end. It's like, but they are voiced very much, by the way, the same way that you would expect by these names. Claw is one of the villains. He's the leader of Vulture, who serves as the primary antagonist of the series. Claw has a metal claw for a right arm. What do you want to bet he sounds like? Another villain in another series.
I mean, we talk about Inspector Gadget, and of course they have the bad guy who is the Claw. Dr. Claw. However...
Buddy, I promise you, I'm not trying to trick you here.
Is it Dr. Claw?
It's Dr. Claw.
Oh, I was like...
He's got that gravelly voice when he talks.
Wow.
Not only that, we also have one that's called Super Ninja.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Super Ninja is a ninja who's Claw's right-hand man. He also has a mask that pulls down over his face, and he has 2 little eyes. What color is his uniform? He also burns lowercase t's for teamwork and tolerance. I just realized when I was describing it, I'm basically describing the Ku Klux Klan.
But what color is his outfit?
It's purplish.
Purplish. Sounds like Cobra a little bit.
G.I. Joe. And his voice, once again, that high squeaky Cobra Commander voice comes through.
Wow.
So here's what they basically did. They've said, you know what? We need villains. What can we do? Well, Dr. Claw's very popular.
Well, I don't think that's how that worked out. These people were probably churning out villains, and these other series were like, that's a good villain. He's going to get killed, and you only get one episode with the Norris going after him. Well, so we'll just take that villain and put it into ours. Obviously, the show had been planned for years. Animation on it probably took forever. And
let's also we can't. It did. But let's also mention some of he had a team. I don't know why Chuck Norris ever needs a team.
I mean,
but he had a team.
He's a moral leader.
You had Pepper, a technological expert and mechanic.
Nice.
Reed, That's Chuck's young apprentice and Pepper's brother.
Okay.
Chemo.
Okay. Chemo.
A samurai warrior. What I'm assuming is Tabe. A sumo champion. Which, by the way, once again, these last two characters, very much stereotypes.
Tabe. And
then you actually had a character called Too Much.
Too Much.
This is Chuck's young ward. He had a Robin. I love it.
So he's an apprentice and a ward.
Yes, he had an apprentice who he was teaching to be the next Chuck Norris. Which I'm guessing, sadly, Reed didn't survive. He didn't survive the training. That's why we don't hear of a young Reed that took over for Chuck Norris.
Not for you, Reed.
I believe he trained. He did his best, but in the end,
well, Chuck Norris probably tested him.
He did.
He's like, I've trained you for a while. You should be able to withstand a 10% kick.
Yes.
And in doing so,
it probably knocked his entire lower half off.
Instant death.
Not instant. He suffered. Trust me. He suffered. I mean, if it was a 20% kick, instant death. 10%, the poor guy suffered.
He's just like half a child on the ground.
There's his upper torso is here. You could follow the intestines to the lower torso about half a mile down the road.
Wow.
I mean, it was brutal.
He should have trained harder.
That's episode that happens in episode 6 that they couldn't actually show. It never got aired.
No, I heard about this. It's when those animators all quit. They said they could never animate something as beautiful as Chuck Norris.
No, they all quit because they were throwing up because of they were like the blood.
Did you ever watch a Chuck Norris movie from the 80s?
I did.
Did your parents let you watch them? Did they know what was in them? My brother said, "Oh, Chuck Norris movie. He's 4 years older than me. He was a teenager of some sort. I can't remember. Not much into his teens. I was probably like 10. So he might have been 14. Maybe last time I might have been younger. He goes, we go to the store where you do the rentals.
Mm-hmm.
He picks out a Chuck Norris. We go home, slide that VHS so smoothly into the player, start playing, and of course it's Chuck Norris. And very quickly, a lot of nudity.
Okay.
And extreme violence.
Yes.
Yeah, nudity and extreme violence.
Now, Chuck was known for, I gotta say, his movies had a lot of violence. And drinking.
Yes.
There was plenty of drinking in there. I thought Chuck was amazing, and then I saw his movies. Because I watched this little show.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he's amazing. And then I saw his movies. And I thought, Chuck is the man.
Chuck knows what he's doing.
Chuck, he gets ladies.
He got a lot of ladies in his movies.
He did. He did.
Needless to say, my brother was not allowed to pick out a movie without showing it to my parents. Because we were all watching it. And you ever get it where you're watching something with your parents and it gets very sexual and it gets very uncomfortable. I don't know if you have that problem when you watch shows with your parents. As a child,
my dad, he would actually edit out those things.
Would he?
Yes.
He was much more diligent than my father and mother.
Yes. It took it, but you got to think, my dad took the time to do this.
Yeah.
Back then, when it was
like
almost impossible.
2-button record.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, well, you had to probably like watch it beforehand too, and then do it.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this time mark, hit stop on this one, let it keep going, hit play, hit record again. So you just had like, it would go and just like cut and go into whatever's next.
Right. It was basically a TV edit of whatever was there.
Nice.
Because this is my dad he's a great man.
Your dad is a good guy.
He's
I have watched some shows with your dad recently. He watches. Yeah, I was over at your house. We were watching Daredevil or something.
Yeah. Daredevil, great show.
Apparently, he's not into editing things for you anymore.
No. I have matured. No, I mean, no. Here's the thing. Dad would edit out any nudity, anything like that. Violence, it was okay.
Violence is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I saw all sorts of violence when I was a kid. But no, we're taking out the nudity.
I gotcha.
So back to this though. We have a great show that apparently was not appreciated in its time. It's really sad. I hate this for this show.
Definitely.
It was only 5 episodes. Obviously, Chuck Norris was too much for the small screen.
He's too much for the big screen, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's just the man still.
Well, I'm going to throw something out there. We're going to be winding up here. Chuck Norris has a new app. What was the name of that app? Chuck Norris...
Kicking Commandos?
Hidden Stuff, I think.
Oh, okay.
His new app, Chuck Norris Hidden Stuff.
By the way, I want to just bring up very quickly, I had the Chuck Norris Kicking Commando toys.
That's crazy.
It was. They actually had a toy. You would squeeze its legs. Now there was Chuck Norris in his blue outfit.
Okay.
His blue like samurai looking outfit. Then there was Chuck Norris in red pants and boots.
I remember that one.
With no shirt on.
Yeah, the shirtless with the bandana.
He came with weapons that you could put in his hands, and he had these very like spaghetti like arms. You'd hit the squeeze the legs, and the arms would do like this with the weapons. He also, the blue one, it was just 2 karate chops. And you squeeze it, and he'd just go like this.
Wow.
And I loved that one because I could go to my sister and do this, and it would hit her.
Yeah.
And then my sister would hit me, and I'd wake up a few hours later with my Chuck Norris toy having one of its legs thrown over the other direction. And
ripped in half?
Yeah, ripped in half.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't ripped in half because Chuck Norris could never be ripped in half.
Be destroyed, yeah.
The Chuck Norris toys, little known fact, made of the strongest metal known to man.
Sounds right. Sounds appropriate.
Known as Chucktonium.
Chucktonium.
That's all we have time for today, people. Don't go look that fact up. It's an actual thing. You can
just believe us.
Yeah, you can. You'll see it in the notes. We'll put it down there.
Okay.
Eric, any final thoughts? Yeah. Excellent, sir. You ended with the same level of excitement you began with.
I enjoyed a bunch of these shows in terms of I just love cartoons growing up.
Yes.
They're a way to waste your time.
What are you talking about? We still like cartoons.
Even though these are awful, minus Kicking Commandos here. Karate Commandos. Minus that one, the other two are not good. And I know that by watching them now. We need to talk about watching... What cartoons do we like watching that now are not good? We'll need to talk about that.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about if they hold up or not.
Yeah, if they hold up.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Once again, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Eric, what else do they need to do? Leave comments.
Leave comments, follow. If you want to listen to us without looking at us, you can go to our Podbean page or iTunes or pretty much anywhere our podcast is.
I am putting up our podcast just about everywhere. You will be able to find it on any platform.
Google Play, any of the platforms that do podcasting. Stitcher. And our...
Angel Fire.
GeoCities.
Lycos.
That's a search engine, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Friendster.
What? Friendster.
Remember Friendster?
I don't know.
So come look us up. It's pull up a chair. Typically all one word.
Yeah, typically all one word. Well, it's all separated in. No, it's all separated in like Podbean.
Podbean. Okay.
iTunes.
And if you're listening to us, it's all one word. Pull up a chair on YouTube.
Yeah. So all right, everybody. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed it because we enjoyed doing it. And yes, Eric is going to give you the final salute. The 2 thumbs up.
80 salute, guys.
80 salute. See you later.
Have a good one.